Hey, this is going to be a quick look at Lesson 11, which is another mini project in Computer Science Discoveries, Unit 3, Games and Animations. Again, when you see these mini projects in particular, take a moment to go to student resources. There's usually an activity guide and or a rubric. So the activity guide is useful. I encourage using it. Of course, I'm not going to right now because it would take up a whole lot more time than is necessary. But if I go to the rubric, it will inform me of, okay, what do I need to have? So program development, okay, it says they sequence the program well and all elements appear on screen as they intend. Modularity, okay, this is where I get to the details. At least 2 sprites created, each with at least 1 property updated after creation. So that means that after I create the sprite, I need to change at least 2 properties. Just the way I grade it, if you set the animation, that's 1 property. Then if you scale it, that's another. If you rotate it, that's another. If you update the XY position later, that's another. If you make it transparent with the alpha, that's another. So a lot of different ways you can do that. At least 2 shapes, 2 sprites, and 2 lines of text are placed correctly on the screen using the coordinate system. So that means you have to have those 2 sprites with those properties updated. You need to have 2 shapes drawn and 2 lines of text. So that is kind of the 2-2-2 project, as I like to call it. So 2 sprites, 2 images, 2 lines of text. So now that I know what I need to do, there is an example, and if you look, this is that really cheesy example we saw in Lesson 1. So kind of a dad joke project here, so I'm going to continue in that thought. So I'm starting from scratch. I have nothing. So make sure you include at least 2 shapes in your background. So because I have to use shapes, I'm not going to, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to do something different anyway. But I'm going to use the background, and I'm going to do orange. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and do a fill that is red. I'm going to go ahead and do text and what do you call cheese that isn't yours? Let's reset and run that. So now I want to change the position just a little bit. So I'm going to move that to about 25, move that down a little bit to 25, 25. We're going to resize that. So I'm going to go to text size, put it above the text. Let's make that about 18. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and insert a sprite. Now my text needs to be the last thing, so I'm obviously going to do this. I'm going to have a mouse, and I'm going to have another sprite that I'm going to call cheese. I'm going to look for images. I'm going to go ahead and prepare to set animation of mouse. I'm going to prepare to set animation of cheese. So with my sprites, I'm going to change the property, but I'm going to actually set the animation, and I'm going to scale them. That will be my 2 sprite properties adjusted. So now I'm going to come in animation. I'm going to look for a mouse. And there we go. I have a mouse, and I'm going to do another one. And since I saw cheese, we will do that. That one has a face on it, so we'll go with that. Okay. So in line 3, mouse doesn't have, so animation, so, and then cheese, I need to set animation. Sorry about that. And I haven't drawn the sprites yet, so that's why they're not showing. I want to draw the sprites before I have the text. So as you can see, they're very large. So I'm going to scale each one and then move them. So I'm going to scale them each. Let's do the cheese to 0.5. mouse 0.5. And let's move the mouse over a little bit. So let's make it at, about 25. Let's go 100. And let's move the cheese over to 200, 300. All right, so now I can play around with it a little bit more. So I've got the sprite. I'm going to move the mouse over a little bit more to 50 so I can see the whole mouse. The tail's still hanging off, so let's go 90. There we go, okay. And then about right here, so about 230, 220, I'm going to have more text. And I think I said 230, 220. And I have that just to add a different element. I'm going to change the, not the color, the text size. I'm going to make the answer a little bit bigger, so let's go to 24. All right, and now I need to add some shapes. So maybe I want this to be the ground. So I would probably put that over my backgrounds of the sprite. So I'm going to do 0, 350 for a rectangle. So I'm going to put it at 0, 350. The width is going to be 400. The height is going to be 100. And I want it to be, let's go to a fill. I want it to be brown. So there we have kind of like the floor there. And I could make like a little mouse hole. Maybe that's what's going on. And maybe I want to switch my characters. Who knows? I'm starting to go down the rabbit hole here, but kind of see I need a different shape. So let me just put a circle at about 350, 315. So I'm going to do an ellipse at 350, 315, and let's make it 100, 100 to start with. And we'll make it black. And let's see what that looks like. Okay, so that's a little, so I want to move it up slightly, maybe make it a little bit smaller. So let me go 90, 90. And I'm going to play around with this until I get it to where it's not really hanging over the floor. So 75, 75, getting close. Okay, and I could go with that. And just to make it a little bit more realistic, what I can do now, maybe I can have my mouse is at 90, 100. My cheese is at 200, 300. Let's see if I can remember. I'm going to flip-flop those. So I'm going to make that 200, 300, and that would be 90, 100. Okay, and now I'm going to rotate the mouse so that it's maybe facing more with the mouse hole, so maybe it's going away, so I'm going to rotate as well. And let's rotate it 90 degrees. So maybe the mouse has just come out, or I could do a negative 90, and it's that way. If I do that, I can move it down. So you kind of see where you can kind of get lost going down the rabbit hole. Let's move it down to 350. There we go. So I could rotate the cheese if I wanted to. So let me do that. I'm going to copy. And instead, let me do all right, and that's not really going to work, is it? I just realized that. Duh. So get rid of that. Let me just slide it over Okay, a lot of minor adjustments, but going back to the requirements, I have 2 lines of text. I have 2 shapes. I have my shapes are the circle and the floor that I made, and my sprites have multiple properties. So the mouse has the animation set, the scale, and the rotation. So that's 3 properties. The cheese has the animation, the scale. That's 2 properties. I've got the 2 separate texts that are different sizes. So I am good to go. Hopefully I will see some results that are much better than this, but this is kind of at a minimum. I did it all on this first level. This kind of walks you through how to do it at each level, but I'm essentially done. So I'll click finish. All right, and that will conclude lesson 11.